Hello. Yes. Yes. I see you saw. Let's see. Welcome to stream today. You can see I even put it on in the the layout. Yippee! Hello, Topi. Welcome to stream today. Welcome, chat. Welcome. It is day 5 of Safari Week. Yeah. Last time for my short 1 hour stream, we managed to catch a shiny hat. Hehe. I named him Top Hat. You can't see him right now. Oh god. How am I? I'm doing pretty well. But yes, last Safari Week stream was very successful. And I wasn't expecting it to be. So yes, today we'll be continuing that. Mad that you missed it, but a playful kind of mad? No worries, no worries. I plan to make like a proper YouTube short out of it. I plan to make like a proper YouTube short because there was more than just that little bit of that clip. Like I actually nearly missed the shiny when it first like popped up. So that's gonna be a fun time. Now today, to help time move by quickly, I actually did a little bit of research into like the RNG method for shiny hunting and what shiny hunting in Gen 1 is like. So we're going to be watching those videos today to help us get through the stream. Yeah. And hopefully, maybe, we might just find another shiny, you know? We just might. Alright, let's go ahead and get this started. Also, I found there's another video by AbsolBlog's Pokemon that we're going to be watching. Like, most of these I haven't watched before, but the Absol one I have watched. So, this will be interesting. Oops, wrong one. There we go. There we go. Okay, this first video is by Shiny Collector.
What is
To
up,
obtain the
Collector
knowledge.
Crew?
Yes.
Shiny Collector here. You're probably
It
thinking,
is time to
shiny
obtain
Pokemon don't
knowledge.
exist in Generation 1, you pleb. And you're absolutely right.
To
Shinies
hopefully
didn't exist until Generation
do better
2. In Generation 2,
at shiny
shininess
hunting.
of Pokemon is determined by its stats. So, if you get a Pokemon at the right stats in Generation 1, it'll become shiny once traded to Generation 2 or sent through the Poke Transporter to Generation 7. The stat trait that determines shininess is called DVs. DV stands for Determinant Value and is an early version of IVs that were used in Generations 1 and 2. DVs range from 0 to 15, giving 16 possibilities per stat. In order for
so I can
Pokemon to be
just like
shiny,
trade
its
them all
DV
up
spread should be as
immediately
follows. Attack is 2,
from
3,
yellow
6,
into Pokemon
7,
Bank and see
10,
if they're shiny
11,
there.
14, or 15.
Ooh.
Defense is 10, speed is 10, and special is 10.
That might
this
be
is where we get our
interesting.
shiny odds from if we just do a bit of math. It's also helpful to know
I'll have to
HP
organize
is
my
0
bank in
or
that
8 for a
case.
shiny, but HP DVs are determined by the other stats DVs, so it doesn't affect shiny odds. It might be confusing, so if you don't fully get it thus far, just know that the DV spread for a shiny Pokemon should be as shown. You can't always tell a Pokemon's DVs exactly if it's too low of a level. For most, if not all Pokemon, you can tell once they reach level 50. So for lower leveled targets, you would need to do an item clone glitch to get rare candies. It's easy to find a guide on that for red and blue, but harder for yellow, so I'll link an item clone guide for yellow in the description. You can use a DV calculator to tell a Pokemon's DV stat spread. Since Generation 2 introduced the special attack and special defense split, where Generation 1 just had a single special stat, we need to see which of these two, attack or defense, is the same base stat as the Generation 1 special, then use that stat for special. The link to the DV calculator is also in the description. One last vital piece of information to know before hunting in Generation 1 is that not everything can be hunted. Regular grass, cave, and surfing encounters are essentially shiny locked. They do not have full range of all DV possibilities and can therefore not be shiny. The Pokemon that can be shiny are any interactable Pokemon, including the legendaries and Snorlax, any gift Pokemon such as Eevee, Lapras, etc., and this includes Pokemon you buy such as the Magikarp and Game Corner Pokemon, any Pokemon you encounter by fishing, any in-game trade Pokemon, and any Pokemon you get from glitches such as the Trainer Fly glitch and Item Underflow glitch. A quick tip is that you can check your HP
Safari
in your party
Pokemon
screen
can't
and reset
be
it to
shiny
not
at
have
all.
0 or 8 DVs before checking the rest of the stats. You now have all the basic
still wanna
information
check it,
to set
though.
up your Generation 1 shiny hunt. For specifics on each type of hunt, go to one of the timestamps here in the
Like
video.
maybe I'll
For interactable
do that,
Pokemon,
and then
you'll need a Master Ball. You might want
next
to catch
stream
it
we
without a
can
Master Ball, but don't be stubborn.
look
That'll
them all
take
and
a lot
bank.
of time each reset. Legendaries are a high
Because it's
enough
possible I
level
may
for us
be
to know they're
wasting my time
TVs,
here.
but for Snorlax, you'll need to do an item clone glitch for rare candies before you start the hunt. Save before battling. Battle. Catch
It's
the
just that I've
Pokemon
already
and
caught
check its
several
stats.
boxes
Reset if
worth
they
of
don't line up,
Pokemon
and
in
repeat this
Pokemon
until
Yellow.
they do. For Snorlax,
So I'm
once they
just
line
like,
up at
I
level
don't want my
30,
time to
rare
have been
candy it up to
wasted,
level
you know?
50, and check again if they line up for the shiny DVs at level 50. Every gift Pokemon is too low of a level to tell the DVs exactly, so you'll need to do the item clone glitch for all of these. Figure out its stats that make it a shiny at the level that you get it, and again at level 50. Soft reset the Pokemon the same way you would soft reset any other gift shiny hunt, but check for stats instead of shininess. Once you have the right stats, raise it up to level 50.
I wonder if it's
with rare
possible to
candies
soft
and check
reset
stats
shiny
again.
for
Do this
the
until you
Pikachu
the
you
right
get in
stats for a
Yellow.
shiny at level 50. Fishing
Since
hunts
that
rank among
is-
the most tedious of Generation
Ooh,
1
but
hunts.
ooh,
You'll
wait,
need to
I could go
item clone glitch
fishing
both
in a
Master
Safari
Balls
Zone.
and rare candies. Save wherever you're going
So-
to fish, but only have one Pokemon in your party. Fish for and catch 5 Pokemon with your Master Balls. Check each Pokemon's stats. Since they're wild encounters, their levels can vary, so you'll need to check their stats for whichever level they each are. If they line up with the right stats, use the rare candies to level that Pokemon up
So,
to 50
instead
and check again.
of-
If it doesn't line up, reset to catch and
Like, I'm
check
pretty sure I
5 more
have
Pokemon and
the
repeat
Super
this
Rod on
until the
this
stats
game.
do line up at level
So I
50.
think I can get like Dratini and
The
Dragonair
in-game
over
trait
here.
resets in Generation 1 are some of the easiest to set up and most convenient. The Pokemon you get from the trade is the same level as the Pokemon you give, so just make sure the Pokemon you're going to trade away is level 50.
Meaning that they all happened
Save
in a
before
single
trading, and
day?
then trade, check stats, and soft reset if they don't match the shiny stats. Repeat this until
I
they
mean,
do.
that's a possibility, I suppose.
For the trainer fly glitch,
Oh,
you'll
the
need a
box is
Master
full.
Ball, and you'll need to do the item
The
clone
box
glitch
is
for
full
rare
in yellow. I
candies.
have to go
Execute the
change
trainer
over the
fly
box
glitch.
before I switch
battling the
strategies.
target trainer who makes the Pokemon you want appear, let a different trainer walk up to you and battle. Destroy them. This lets you regain access to your menu. Save before battling your target trainer. Battle him and go back to the route that you flew away from. Cancel out of the menu, catch the Pokemon you want, and check its stats. It's a very low level, so you'll need to use the rare candies to level it up before you can guarantee if it's a shiny. If the stats don't line up, reset, battle the trainer, and go catch your Pokemon until the stats line up with the shiny DVs
Your dad
at
works
level
at
50.
Nintendo?
I'll link a
Oh,
more
then
in-depth
I know I can
explanation
trust
of
you
the
then,
trainer
Toby.
fly
I know
glitch
I
in
can
the
trust you then.
description, as well as a map that shows which trainers produce which Pokemon through it. For the item underflow glitch, I'm going to refer you to Blue Bisharp 28. He did a video on it, and it's a very complex glitch, so it
Okay,
does need a
now I know
tutorial of
more
its own.
about
That video will be linked
the
to in the
glitch
description.
and
Once
the
you have
shinies
the Pokemon at
and
level
whatnot.
50 with the right stats,
So
save,
instead
that's a shiny
of
Pokemon. You can trade it to Generation 2 or Pokemon
catching
Transfer it to
shiny-
Generation
catching
7 for it to
Pokemon
become shiny.
in the
I know this guide
grass,
was very information heavy, so
going
if you have any
to
questions, check
instead
the description for an answer.
switch
If you
over
can't
to
find it,
only
leave your
fishing.
question in the comments. If you hunt a shiny
And
in
hopefully that
Generation
will
1
help.
using this tutorial, please share
And
it
you
with
can
me
trust
over
me?
on Twitter.
Yeah, of
If
course you can
enjoyed
trust
this
me.
video or
Have I
found it
lied to you
helpful, make sure to
so
leave a
far?
like.
Have I
And if
lied to you
there's
at
any
any
constructive criticism for the future, please leave it in the comments. And until next time, keep it calm, cool, and collected.
Very responsible and trustworthy, yes. Okay, I think the next video after this is the Absolbox Pokemon video. And it's a fun one. It's a fun one.
I have nothing but fond memories of the Generation 1 era of Pokemon, with red, green, blue, and yellow, but these are the games that I revisit the least on this channel because my favorite feature from Pokemon didn't even exist yet in these games: shiny Pokemon. The constant sliver of hope that I might encounter a super rare, different colored Pokemon is one of the many things that motivates me to keep doing long, repetitive
not shiny,
grinds
right?
in these games.
Yeah, no,
and
that's
while
not
I
shiny. It's
appreciate
still
exploring the
orange.
monochrome world of
Shiny
Kanto,
Goldie was
whether
more
or not
yellow.
there are shinies, it just doesn't feel the same without them. Without that little sliver of hope. But what if there
Alright,
really
I'm
was a
gonna
sliver of hope?
Focus over
And
here
some of
on-
these
on
monochrome
switching the
Pokemon
box.
were hiding the secret that they were shiny all along. And you can transfer them up to other games to see that. A Pokemon's stats are determined the same way in Generations 1 and 2. And that's what decides whether or not it's shiny. So if we can scrutinize a Pokemon's stats like we're looking at a lottery ticket when we go to the gas station and get a nice crisp Baja Blast, but get turned down because we're 10 years old and just get the Baja Blast instead, we can shiny hunt in Generation 1. Here's how it works. So in Generation 1 and 2, a Pokemon's stats are determined by its DVs, which stand
Yes,
for
we just-
determinate
we
values.
just heard about
These
this.
are numbers that range from 0 to
just the
15,
real
meaning that
did.
there are 16 possibilities for each one, bringing us to a grand total of 65,530
Six.
possibilities. Think of these as like the grandfather of modern day IVs that a Pokemon has. Back in my day, I determined shininess. Let's get you to bed, Grandpa. But yeah, the DVs actually did also determine if a Pokemon was shiny. The only way that you can have a shiny Pokemon in
Turn into a
Generation
simp
2
thing?
is if
Oh,
your
well, then you better
defense,
simp, 'cause
special, and
Baja Blast
speed were
is my
10.
favorite flavor, too.
And if the attack was
I
one
have,
of
like,
these
a
8
24
values here,
pack
meaning
of
that there
Baja
are
Blast
8 possible
cans
shiny sets
in my room
out of all
as
the
we speak.
65,534.
6.
Which brings us to the good old 1 in 8192 shiny odds. That's where it comes from. But in Generation 1, all 65,534 of these aren't always possible. The tall grass is normally your best friend for getting random encounters for shiny hunting, but in Generation 1, maybe you should listen to Professor Oak's warning. The number that's constantly rolling in the background to
Don't be
determine whether or
flavored
not you
Baja
get an
Blast.
encounter is directly tied to how Pokemon's stats get generated. And it works out that in every
What would
cave
that
and
be
every
like?
patch
'Cause
of
I know
wild
there are, like,
grass in the game,
specific,
it is impossible to
like,
generate
other
a shiny
Baja Blast
Pokemon this
flavors
way.
available.
But every other type of encounter works totally fine, with all 65,536 possibilities. Like gift Pokemon, interactable Pokemon, fishing encounters, and even in-game trades actually do work for shiny hunting. Which makes it so all these Pokemon can never be shiny in Generation 1 without glitches. But emphasis on the without glitches. We can break these games wide open to make any Pokemon
Okay,
possible.
I'm at the water
Even
now.
Generation 2 Pokemon that look like total nonsense in Generation 1. So, out of all these exciting possibilities,
Now,
of course the Pokemon that I'm going
We're
to
gonna
shiny
try
hunt
and
is
properly shiny hunt
Ash.
in Gen 1.
It's me, Calzone. I am
With
very
the
happy
super
to
rod.
announce that scientists have
Let's
recently
go.
uncovered ancient Oddish
I may need to
fossils
organize
that
my
can be
box, so
revived.
my
What's
bad.
really cool is that they think that these Oddish fossils could have been the apex predators of their times. Oddish is normally one of those wild grass only encounters that can't be shiny in red and blue. But we're gonna break the fabric of reality like I normally do to get it shiny. There are gonna be no modifications to the Pokemon Red
Supposed to be a
cartridge here.
flavor
Nothing.
of
It's
what?
a retail copy. We're just gonna do some crazy
sorry,
glitches
what?
to make it happen. Since we're reviving this Oddish from a fossil, I have found a fossil regeneration station, and I filmed the Pokemon hard at work
this-
here reviving the fossils. Here's
This
a
next
skit
bit
that
is
has
kinda
almost nothing
cringe,
to
but
do
it's
with Gen
funny.
1, and then we'll get into things. Welcome to the Fossil Restoration Station!
Fossil Restoration Station.
Yeah, I definitely need to organize the bag
fossil.
so that the super rod is at the top.
Anyway, we're here to show you the amazing science of fossil
I'll do that once I run
restoration.
out of
Oh,
Safari
sorry,
Balls in
bro.
this current game.
Sorry, we're late, Gibble and Goodbye.
Oh my gosh, Roman Nasai, I'm so sorry, I'm late, but I've got a hot foss straight out of the fossil mines for you today. So let's show you how this all works.
For the monster fuckers out there? Oh well, tell me more then.
The rocket move. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the demonstration station.
Yeah, what he said. You did awesome, babe.
There's someone left. I'm fooching out. Thanks, babe. Anyway, who wants to see me punch this
I
rock
don't
out
think
this
I
wall?
watched this all the way through the first time.
All right, here goes nothing.
I'm so excited to restore this hot foss.
Why do you keep saying
So,
that?
an
I'm trying to get it to
Eldritch
catch
Blast?
on.
Ba-dum-ting.
Hey guys, would you want to see the next step of the process? Just head up this ladder. I fell too.
This is an OSHA violation.
What's OSHA?
I can climb the ladder too.
He's too short to reach it.
Never mind, maybe one day.
Check out Marowak move the forklift.
Hey guys, I'm Marowak. I am forklift certified.
Boop. Oh, that was so fast. All right, everybody. Who's ready to see what fossil this Pokemon gets revived into? Okay, everybody.
this fossil revival goes well.
Don't worry, we handle this all the time, Trim. What in the world?
Oh, Dratini!
Is that an
Dratini in Gen 1! Possible shiny! Let's see if we can catch.
Oh, sorry.
This hot foss is now
Jiren.
a hot odd.
You could say it's Hot Mama Odd.
Huh?
Origin story. I'm Hot Mama Odd.
Oh my god.
I really don't know what I'm doing with this intro. Let's get into the shiny oddish that I found in Gen 1 with this
Please.
crazy glitch.
Please.
Okay, so the part I've actually been dreading here after that is explaining what we need to do here on Pokemon Red. This website right here, Blue Moon Falls, the Generation 1 Shiny tool, is our best friend for that. It's got this drop down where you can select any species of Pokemon from Gen 1 or 2, and we want to do it with fossil conversion here. Then, directly under that, there will be an instruction thing for it that applies directly to the specific species of Pokemon we're
Want little
trying to
Pokemon
revive.
figures like that? I
'Cause
think
the
I
process
have
is slightly
some little
different with some of the
figures.
numbers of items we use
I
or
think I
toss
have
with every
some
single individual
in
Pokemon.
my closet somewhere.
So, I'm going to give a very brief explanation of it, definitely not an exhaustive guide. You might want to follow one of the linked guides here, like Natoem's guide or Kazuli's guide, like this video right here.
Like,
I'm
I
just gonna
have
try and
some
explain it the
toys
best I
saved
can,
from
and I don't know if I can
when I
explain
was
it all because I
little,
don't really know a
but
lot
also
about
some
Gen
other
1. I
stuff I
barely
got
know what I'm
later in
doing.
life.
We have to start things with a brand new
Now you
save
see a
file,
plushie?
and immediately upon starting the file, we
I
need to
do
turn
have
off
some
the game
Pokemon
as soon as
plushies. I
we
have
hit
an
yes for
Eevee
saving.
over to the
If you
side
time
there.
it correctly,
Let me go get
you
it.
should have access to your Pokemon menu now with
Let me
no
go get the
Pokemon.
Eevee plushie since
And we
it's
have an
literally right
extended
there.
party that goes beyond the bottom of the screen. If we swap the first Pokemon with the 10th Pokemon, we've activated Item Underflow, which makes our bag look really strange,
the
full of
Eevee.
a lot of nonsense items, but all of these items are directly
It's the
tied to
Eevee.
important things within the game,
Eevee.
like our trainer's name, our money, the current map that we're in, and we have pretty much full control of the game now through our item menu. With some specific item tosses and manipulation, we can leave our house
I have
and
toys
end up
of
in
many
Cinnabar Island by
varieties.
changing the map data. And by following some steps here, we can make it so that we have a Dome Fossil right off the bat. Then we pump up the glitch Pokemon in the first slot of our party with a certain number of proteins and rare candies to have it match the attack stat that we need for our species of Pokemon we want to revive. Then we go to the Safari Zone, Calzone's favorite place, and capture a Pokemon
Yes, the
normally.
zone.
Then we'll be allowed to deposit a lot of our glitch Pokemon into the PC
Yes, it's so
here,
cute. I
and
also
do
have
some
an
further
Espeon and
setup.
Umbreon.
We
like,
actually have to go back to
figures over on the
Pallet
shelf,
Town now
too.
and play the game a little bit normally, and get our Charmander up to a level 50 Charizard. Then we defeat the
Oh,
Nugget
the
Bridge
Topi
normally to
variety?
get a Nugget, and to catch an Abra, which is here. Then we have a lot more crazy items set up where we're working around with a lot of different items, doing some shopping too in the Celadon City department store. Then we have a lot of really specific movements and tossing of items to set up our bag in a very particular way. I'm not even going to pretend that I fully understand what's going on here, so I recommend just reading the guide on Blue Moon Falls and following every step to a T here. This whole process from new game to getting to Cinnabar Island at the end here took a little bit over an hour for me, and it does take a few
Oh,
tries
Dratini.
sometimes, so
Not
I recommend
shiny.
saving
Blue.
often throughout this process
It's
in
blue
case you mess
Dratini.
up. Also, navigating the
Imagine
item
I
menu
find
can
a
be a little
Dragonair
bit
in
weird.
Gen
Sometimes you
1
have to
and
press
ends up
B
being
or A to
shiny.
get past an item when the cursor gets stuck, so
Imagine
keep that
that's
in
the
mind too.
case.
Eventually, after enough setup, you'll be back in Cinnabar Island, and you
Like,
can
instead
talk
of
to the
this
scientist
shiny,
here
it's this shiny
to get
over
your
here.
hot Foss revived every single time. It becomes a simple soft reset hunt from this point on, and we can check its shininess by looking at the stats at the top of the screen on the Gen 1 Shiny Tool site. If they match up,
Those may look
use a
real?
rare
Yeah,
candy
let's hope
and
the luck
press
is
the
real.
X button here. If they continue to match up, you have eventually reached a shiny. But if they don't anymore, unfortunately you were one off in one of your DVs. This only happened to me once over the course of this hunt.
No! No! I've never made it this far before!
I did this throughout a lot of August during Quick Panic and Tales of Taylor's Fossil Week event. And for comfort, I actually transferred this save file to my 3DSs so I could do it with a cozy little controller setup. Eventually, I found my shiny Oddish. Here's the reaction.
Yeah, I need to figure out how that controller setup
amazing.
actually works, because I think that would make
Makes you think of like the
my life
Cars
here
story.
so much easier if I could just do
That
that.
Oddish has a huge. Yeah, it does.
Instead of having to show my hands and cover
kinda
up the
crazy. I don't know
screens
how that
every
happened.
single time.
You have to ask Calzone.
Looks like most of the shiny check I'm going to be doing in Gen 1 is going to be Magikarp.
Do I know how to replace a Switch battery?
Oh,
I
Dratini?
don't, and I need to learn
Not shiny.
because my Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee Switch has that same problem,
Its charge does not last very long. Also, is this one?
I know
Oh my
you
gosh,
like
this might be
seeing
it.
my hands.
This might be it.
I know you like it.
Bottom left game, folks. It matches up. But we have to do the rare candy moment of truth. We have to do the rare candy moment of truth. Okay. 71, 36, 44, 29, 56.
A lot even?
19,562.
Oh,
Is this
Dratini in
gonna
Gen
be
1.
the one?
Yay!
Or we got to use one
Let's
of our
see if I can
0
catch
rare
it.
candies here. All right, let's use it. All right, 73 HP,
Oh,
that's
both
good.
free.
Then we need 37 attack, 45 defense,
Hands and
29
legs? Oh.
speed, and 57 special.
I guess you like the whole package?
That's it. Shiny Oddish. That's a shiny Oddish right there. The bottom left game. Let's go. All right, we have to
get in
prevent
the
it from
ball.
evolving. Huge. You just clicked on. You got to win. You
Come
watched
on,
the
man.
winning lottery ticket, Dallas. This is so crazy.
And voices?
This is massive. So we need to go to item number 36. So these master balls right here,
Oh, Dratini ran.
right? We need to toss them.
Dratini is the
until
new
only
is the
we
new
have
Kangaskhan.
4 of them.
Dratini is the new
All right, we
Kangaskhan.
have 4 of them now. We're good. All right, and now we're gonna go to Lavender Town just by walking outside. We're there! Yay! Hello, hello. I'm the official name raider. We're gonna name it Ancient H because it was revived from a fossil. We're good. We can trade it now over to Gen 2. Here we go. It'd be really funny after all of this. It's not a shiny Oddish. All right. Calzone is trading the Oddish, trading the Pidgeotto. This
Well,
is
yes,
the
I
moment of
am
truth.
the complete package.
All right, let's see what happens. Moment of truth. It's black and white. Unova confirmed.
Ah!
Oh, the suspense. We watch it on that screen. It's coming across. It's already kind of got the shiny palette on the mini sprite there. That is shiny, baby. Moving its little feet. Shiny Oddish. This is making your stomach hurt? I'm sorry, I'll disable the wireless communications
no.
immediately. I didn't realize that the 3DS wireless could do that. Look at that, Ancient H. So sick. OT Calzone.
You're making me blush, Joe.
And I'm actually gonna transfer this all the way up, believe it or not.
Oh, Dratini?
Because
Not shiny.
Game Boy Mark Pokemon might be extinct
Not
one day.
shiny.
Much like this Oddish once
Unfortunate.
was. So I'm transferring this one up, and if I want a Gen 1 Oddish, I'll hunt it in Gen 2. Or if I want another one, I'll hunt it in Gen 2, like actually in the wild. Alright, normal Graveler. H. Paradox Oddish, look at her.
But yeah, this thing really does just transfer up all the way with no issues. But I'm not taking it out of Alola until I get every ribbon I can get on it there, which I'll save for another video another day, maybe. It was cool to finally
Maybe.
take on a Gen 1 shiny hunt with these lottery ticket numbers, but there are other ways to hunt in this game that involve even crazier glitch setups that I'm excited to explore. I'm
Oh,
talking
dear.
built-in shiny indicators in Gen 1, so look forward to that someday. But until then, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Also, watch that whole skit if you want on the second channel. It's stupid in a good way, I think.
Nah, I think I'm good. Okay, this video is by Papa Jefe, I think. Okay, now we're learning
When
about
someone boots up a
RNG
Pokemon game for
manipulation.
the first time,
These
it's
next few
truly a
videos,
magical
next 3
moment.
videos
For
are
most
RNG
Pokemon
manipulation
players, this happened
videos.
when we were just kids. Excited but blissfully unaware, we're greeted by a kindly professor who informs us we're about to embark on an epic adventure into the world of Pokemon. We proceed to name our character, talk to our in-game mom, and meet up with the professor to receive our first partner Pokemon. For many, this moment becomes etched into their mind as a permanent memory. For me, it was Pokemon Red version on my fat, gray, original Game Boy. However, there's another moment I'll never forget. One that changed the way I will play Pokemon forever, and it starts right here in Ruby and Sapphire. Oh, just hold on one second. You see, most people assume that the attributes of a Pokemon the game gives you are based on luck. Let's say, for example, you wanted to play through the game using a shiny Pokemon. For those unaware, shiny Pokemon are an ultra rare occurrence featuring an alternate color palette and a
not
unique
shiny.
sparkle animation.
No
the odds
shiny
of receiving one
Dratini.
can be as low as 1 in 8,192. To play through the game with a shiny starter, the player would need to either be extremely lucky or reset the game over and over in the face of incredible odds. This can take days, weeks, or even months of repetitive effort.
But lucky me, I got one
However,
yesterday.
this isn't the only method for acquiring a shiny starter Pokemon, and I'll show you what I mean right now.
Yes, please explain it to me. Aw, no shiny.
Hey, look at that, we did it.
Very lucky knows me. Yes.
Clearly, that
very,
wasn't
very
luck.
lucky.
I didn't have to mindlessly reset my game for days on end. Instead, I just performed what's known as an RNG manipulation.
Yes,
Now,
please
if you're a
teach me
shiny
how.
hunter, you may have spent hundreds of your own precious limited hours on this earth in order to accomplish what I've demonstrated here in just a few minutes. You may already know about RNG manipulation and feel like it's cheating. I can understand why accepting RNG manipulation as legitimate might feel invalidating for the countless hours of effort you've put in. There's a persistent reputation around RNG manipulated shinies being not real, less valuable, or even just like hacking with extra steps. However, I urge you to keep an open mind. Shiny hunting relies on persistence, time, and luck in hopes of obtaining something perceived as incredibly rare and valuable. It's about testing your patience and resolve and being rewarded with something most players never experience, even after hundreds of hours of normal gameplay.
Aw, damn it. We got a shiny.
In contrast, learning about RNG puts agency back in the player's hands. It becomes like a puzzle game, relying on game knowledge, problem solving, and execution. It's science, taking things apart in order to gain a deeper understanding of fundamental principles, and
I
using that
guess
knowledge to make the impossible
RNG
possible.
manipulation in a
Compared
way
to
is
traditional
sort of
methods,
like
finding a shiny with
using the
RNG
Masuda
like this
method
might
in
seem
order to
relatively
increase your
easy,
shiny
but
odds
when I
when
started,
doing
this
egg
process
runs.
was confusing, intimidating, and difficult. Fed up with unsuccessfully resetting my game over and over, I originally sought RNG as a shortcut to shiny Pokemon. Instead, I found my patience and skill challenged in ways no other game ever has. Unknowingly, I'd taken my first step on a new Pokemon adventure, a new way to play the game with its own unique difficulties testing my determination. Once I'd mastered the basics, quickly getting a shiny had indeed become easy, but I found myself wanting more, and time again the world of RNG presented me with more complex, compelling Pokemon puzzles. It unlocked a new frontier of fantastic feats which absolutely blew my mind 8 years ago, and sent me barreling down a near bottomless rabbit hole I may never climb out of. So what makes this all possible? Well, the answer lies in the mechanism all video games use to simulate luck, the pseudo-random number generator, or RNG for short. Since computers perform operations logically using ones and zeros, they struggle to produce results that are truly random. So, programmers developed sequences of complex math operations called RNG algorithms to create the illusion of luck.
That makes
Pokemon
sense.
is no exception. While every game in the series has its own quirks, some level of RNG manipulation is possible using nothing but original hardware, access to a computer, and in some cases a way to view the game's video output via a camera or capture device. Ruby and Sapphire is where it all started for me, and explaining how exactly I was able to manipulate this shiny starter Pokemon should establish the fundamentals of how it all works and what's possible once you master these skills. See, in these games, the pool of Pokemon available for you to encounter is determined by a 4-digit hex number called the RNG seed. This value is set upon booting the game, and it's determined by the state of the in-game clock in Ruby and Sapphire. This clock keeps time even when the game isn't on, and it does so by having a physical battery inside the cartridge. However, this battery can die, and for original cartridges from back in 2002, this happened long ago. When it does, you're greeted by this message on the title screen.
The internal battery has run dry. The game can be played, however, clock-based events will no longer occur.
Indeed, the game can be played, and in fact, this battery being dead is critical for being able to manipulate Ruby and Sapphire's RNG. See, once the battery is dead, the clock stops and becomes frozen at midnight, January 1st, 2000, resulting in the initial RNG seed of 5A0. A constant initial seed means that all the
I don't
Pokemon you
think
encounter are perfectly predictable.
I don't think that
Since the
applies to
GBA
Fire
games
Red,
run at
since it doesn't
approximately
have
60 frames per second,
an
each
in-game
frame
clock
lasts for a
system.
mere 16.66 milliseconds.
And there isn't a day-night
Every frame
cycle.
has a specific set of Pokemon data associated with it. Species, stats, nature, and even shininess are predetermined and thus capable of manipulation. The only catch is that you need
Oh,
to be
Dratini.
frame perfect, which means being able to accurately hit that 16.66 millisecond window. This might sound frustrating and infeasible, but thankfully special timers
Yay,
have
got
been
the
developed with
Dratini in
rhythmic
Gen 1.
beats to
Possible of
synchronize
being
the player with
shiny.
the game. With a bit of practice, anyone can learn to become frame perfect
Oh, no,
and
it's my first
stop
ever
relying
Dratini.
on luck.
Frames are moving. I've calibrated a timer, a calculator, a fucking computer program around my game file, and now I have a timer that I press A with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6! It's either shiny or not.
Now, shiny Pokemon themselves are so rare because they rely on two separate values being a perfect match. The first is the Pokemon's personality ID, or PID. This 8-digit hex number serves as the unique identifier for every individual frame of the RNG. The second is your full trainer ID number. I say full because the 5 digits you see on your trainer card are only half of your full ID.
Oh.
The other half is normally hidden from the player and is another 5-digit number we call the secret ID.
How
When
do
the
you find
trainer
it?
ID and secret ID are combined, they can be converted to an 8-digit hex number,
That's
just like
interesting.
PID.
How would
And
you
when
find
the
it?
personality ID, trainer ID, and secret ID are crossed using a programming operation known as bitwise exclusive OR, they produce something akin to a remainder between 0 and 65,535. For generations 3 through 5, if this remainder is less than 8, the Pokemon will appear as shiny in-game. Thus, we get the odds of any Pokemon being shiny as 8 in 65,536, or simplified as 1 in 8,192. As an interesting side note, starting in Generation 6, the threshold was actually raised to 16, and thus, shiny rates were doubled to 1 in 4096. So why did I pause to press A at a specific time during the professor's intro sequence? Because I was using the timer to aim for a very specific trainer ID and secret ID. Ruby and Sapphire are unique in that the RNG uses the exact same process to determine your trainer ID as it does to determine a Pokemon's PID. Given what we now know about how shiny Pokemon are determined, you might have already guessed that when your full trainer ID and a Pokemon's PID match exactly, the XOR remainder value is 0 and thus the Pokemon appears shiny. For this to work, all I needed to do was reboot my game, start the timer, and claim my starter Pokemon on the exact same frame that determined my trainer ID. Thus completing the match and yielding my new shiny Trico, who by the way has 2 perfect IVs. But that's nothing compared to what RNG manipulation is truly capable of. From the beginning, a core part of the Pokemon series has been battling Pokemon with your friends. For most, this aspect of the game begins and ends with the Pokemon you've caught and raised along your adventure. Up until this point, the only thing that mattered were levels and super effective attacks. However, should you develop a desire to learn the intricacies of competitive battling, you'll quickly discover that not all
It's
Pokemon are
very
created
complex,
equal.
yes.
Every Pokemon has 6 hidden stats ranging from 0 to 31, which influence their maximum potential stats. We call these individual values, or IVs for short. At the highest levels of competition, anything less than perfect could mean the difference between going first and securing a KO, or surviving a super effective hit with just enough HP to strike back. The odds of naturally encountering a perfect Pokemon like this put the 1 in 8,192 shiny odds to shame. Each IV has a 1 in 32 chance of being perfect. A Pokemon typically only relies on either attack or special attack for damage. Thus, at least 5 of those IVs need to be perfect. So, we take 32 to the 5th power and find the odds. 1 in 33,554,432. But that's not all. Each Pokemon can also have one of 25 natures, which boosts one stat's maximum potential by 10% and lowers another's. As such, there's typically one specific nature that's optimal for a competitive Pokemon, and so, the true odds must be multiplied by 25.
This is a lot of math that I am barely paying attention to.
860,800.
Oh,
Now,
whoops.
there are systems in game
Didn't
to
mean to throw that.
circumvent some of this insanity. By breeding Pokemon with perfect stats together, you can yield offspring with better odds of being perfect. However, some
And
Pokemon
of course I
cannot
catch
be bred,
it.
and even under ideal
Did not mean to
circumstances,
catch
a player
that.
would need to hatch tens of thousands of eggs
Oh,
before seeing
that's
even
not
one
good.
considered perfect for competitive play. Understandably, in recent years, Game Freak has made obtaining Pokemon like this a little easier, but the history of competitive Pokemon goes back to the very beginning. When forced to confront the difficulty of acquiring such Pokemon, most players would opt to never make the leap into competitive play. However, Pokemon itself is one of the most fun and complex turn-based games ever designed. Naturally, dedicated players would desire a competitive scene to test their skills. And so, uninterested in wasting precious months of their lives mindlessly hatching eggs and resetting over and over, they would instead turn to Game Sharks, action replays, and save editors, creating
Hacking.
perfect Pokemon for themselves and thus establishing cheating as a necessary evil in order to compete at the highest level. A practice which persists to produce problems in the Pokemon player base up to the present day. Some people, however, would fundamentally reject cheating as the norm and instead seek methods to remove luck from the equation without altering the game's normal
that's
function.
where the RNG
It was from
manipulation
this
comes
desire
into
that
play,
back
then.
in the golden age of DS Wi-Fi battling forums and chat rooms, that the RNG community was born. It's truly ironic then that since its inception, RNG manipulation has endured being branded as cheating by much of the greater Pokemon community. It's a method for overcoming the astronomical barrier to entry for playing Pokemon competitively, without cheating or hacking. It was born out of our desire to battle Pokemon at the highest level, using Pokemon we actually invested time and energy into acquiring. Easier shiny hunting was simply a byproduct of this effort. And yet, much like shiny hunters, I've spent days or even weeks attempting insanely difficult RNG manipulations for what I see as a legitimately acquired Pokemon, only to be met with comments like, might as well have just hacked it in and save yourself the trouble. Obviously, I don't see it this way. Game Freak created one of the most unique and interesting gaming experiences I've ever had, completely by accident. They unknowingly gave purpose and focus to not only me, but an entire community of talented people who
I
love
guess
Pokemon.
RNG manipulation
An ever-growing
is
tower of knowledge
Pokemon
built up brick by
hunting
brick
for
by
those who
players so
want to
passionate about the
insert more
game,
math
they
to
read
it.
the code line by line. When a new game is released, it's not game journalists or YouTube personalities who uncover the in-depth details about what makes the game tick. Instead, each generation, data miners and programmers cooperate in a labor of love, meticulously poking and prodding to reverse engineer how the game's systems function, developing tools to calculate seeds, predicting potential Pokemon, and simplifying the execution of RNG manipulation. Their efforts even inspired me to learn a bit of programming just so I could create a tool to make Fire Red and Leaf Green a little bit less frustrating. The
Well,
RNG
Bikini in Gen
community
1.
even crosses international borders and language barriers. One of the most comprehensive documents I've ever seen on Pokemon data structures lives on a French paste bin. Some of the most extensive documentation for 3DS era RNG lives on an Italian-speaking forum. Some of the most niche and interesting tools for games like Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness came from Japanese developers keeping blogs of their progress. Thanks to these amazing people, even Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and Legends Arceus have methods for RNG manipulating Pokemon.
Ooh.
With the new generation of Scarlet and Violet on the horizon, you might be itching to pick up your favorite Pokemon game one more time in anticipation. If you do, consider doing something new and give RNG manipulation a try. Whether you want to capture a shiny Arceus for your collection, craft a team of competitive shinies from scratch, or simply enjoy playing through Heart Gold with a shiny starter, there's never been a better time to join this wonderful corner of the Pokemon community.
I guess it's a choose your own battle
Sincerely,
kind of thing.
thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching this video all the way to the end.
Aw,
I know it's
shiny.
been at least
'Cause
2
I would like to
months, maybe
try
3
it,
since my last
just
upload,
to see if I
but
can get it to
I'm
work.
back, and thanks to the help of my
But
good
math
friend Blissey,
very
this
much
video
hurts my
finally saw
head.
the light of day.
It very much
I'm
hurts
going
my
to be
head.
streaming on Twitch live immediately following this video premiere, and I will now be streaming every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday starting at 3 p.m. So I look forward to seeing you guys there, and there are way more videos in the future. Sincerely, thank you, and I hope to see you again soon. Click like and
So
subscribe
just
if you
gotta
haven't already.
Figure out
Peace.
an easier way to do the manipulation.
Hey
Or
everyone,
find the
today I'm going to
math.
be teaching you how to RNG manip a shiny starter in Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. This is different than how it works in Ruby and Sapphire, and it's also slightly different than how it works in Emerald version, just because Fire Red and Leaf Green are inherently different.
I don't know if I'll be resetting my Fire
You're not really
Red
going to need
anytime
anything
soon,
in-game
but I
to set
guess
this up
is a
because
good
we are
thing to
starting a
learn.
new game.
This
and this will
video
also have the
is
secondary
by,
effect of helping us figure out what
I'm
our
a
secret
Blissey.
ID is. So we'll get the starter, we'll know our trainer ID and our secret ID, and then we could do a full shiny only playthrough or something like that if we wanted to. Now, out of game, you're going to need 2 programs, and you need to go to a specific website. First program is Eon Timer 3.0-RC.6. It's the latest version as of this video. And you're also going to need PokeFinder 4.2.1, which is also the latest version. The last website you're going to need to go to is Lincoln's JS Finder website. I'll link that in the description, and you'll see what that looks like as well when I get to that section of the video. With that said, we're all ready to start. So the first thing we're going to need to do is just click New Game and get to the part where you're naming yourself. Okay, so I'm about to name myself. You don't have to rush here or anything. You can take your time. And so what's happening here is the process that determines your trainer ID is flying by in the background, going very, very quickly. It's very difficult to RNG manip. It has been done, but that's a very, very advanced thing that I don't think is worth teaching at the moment.
Aw.
With that said,
No
the
shiny.
moment you hit OK to name yourself, your trainer ID is determined, and that trainer ID also becomes your initial seed. Your secret ID is determined at the very end of all of this dialogue when you press A on the final text box to shrink your character down. And what we're going to do is start a timer when we hit OK here, and we'll go in Eon Timer will count down for us. And we're going to try and time out a specific window for our secret ID to find out what it is. And so that's why we need to be here. Now, I'm just going to set a sort of flat timer here, so let's set Eon Timer up. All right, so in Eon Timer, we're going to go to the Custom tab. We're not going to go to 3, and we're going to hit plus here. We're then going to set our target advances here as our unit, and our target we're going to set to 901. Now, this is because there is a small amount of delay on the final text box when you push it between the time it takes when you hit A on it and the time it takes to generate your secret ID.
Okay.
We're looking to hit a secret ID on round advance 1150, but the delay is 249 advances, so we're setting our target to be 901 here. You can see it's about a 15-second timer, so we are going to have to go a little bit quick. And before you do any of this, click the settings cog on Eon Timer and go to Timer, and make sure you got the correct console selected. If you're playing on a GBA or a Game Boy player or even the like fake Virtual Console Inject, select GBA from this dropdown. If you're playing on a DS like I am,
sounds
select
like that's an easy way
NDS
to
slot
get
2.
the timing down.
And don't mess with refresh
Just to
interval
figure
or
out
precision
what the timing
calibration.
is, like where that calculator is.
At this point, we're pretty much ready to go.
I wonder if that's in
So
the
what we're going to
description.
do is hit start on Eon Timer and OK in the game at the same time. And then we're going to mash through this guy's dialogue. I'm not going to name my rival. We're going to go here. And we're going to wait on this screen. As the timer finishes counting down, we're going to hit A on the your very own Pokemon Legend is about to unfold screen. All right, at this point, we just check our trainer ID and see what it is. All right, 6702. Now, of course, if you don't like your trainer ID, you can just reset it and do this a bunch of times, but this is what I'm going with. Now we're going to move on to the starter plus SID deduction phase. They're both kind of the same thing. Okay, so now we're going to open up PokeFinder, and this is the main window. In here, we're going to click IDs. Then what we're going to do is click Fire Red Leaf Green Emerald. And we're going to type the trainer ID that we got in here. So 6702.
Dragonair Gen 1.
Then
First
what we're going to
ever.
do is set the initial advances
Okay, ball.
to be pretty close to what we were. Like I said, we were aiming for
I
advanced
missed.
1150. So I'm going to set this to 1100. And then I'm going to click Generate. And as you can
I
see,
missed.
this is our trainer ID. And if we scroll all the way down, we're going to see 1150.
I'm gonna try throwing.
So this is what our
Oh,
secret
I forget
ID
what the
would
Gen
be
1 strat
if we
is.
were bang on perfect exact
You know what? I can leave
target
this Dragonair
hit.
up as I bring up that other video.
However, there's a good chance we were.
I just need to go into my history and find it again. Gotta find that video. Wait, will that video have? Hang on, let me look up the Gen 1 Safari Zone strat energy thing, whatever. Yeah, strategy. Okay. Throwing rocks increases the odds of catching a Pokemon, but it also increases the odds of them running away. So I think I just need to throw balls at the Dragonair and hope for the best. Whew, anyway. Alright. You're back, Ooga Booga. Welcome back, Topi. Welcome back. I got a Dragonair in Gen 1.
Or not. So what we're going to do now is
And now I'm gonna
check
try to
all
catch
of these
it.
secret IDs by trying to get various
To see
different
if-
shiny starters.
Like, if I can catch it, I
And so
can
I'm
check
gonna
for the
set that here.
shininess later. Oh, I got it! Yippee!
It's perfect. And we're now going to save the game, and we're going to go to Professor Oak and play through the intro. So I'm
Alright,
going to save the game
so we'll be
first,
checking
and then
this.
I'll do the intro, and you'll see
I think
me
I'll
when we're
check
ready to do them in it.
the shinies.
So in Fire Red Leaf Green, we actually
for
have the
Gen
privilege of
1
looking for Pokemon
on
with
the
like
last
decent
day of
stats,
Safari Week on
as
Thursday.
opposed to any random garbage, right? So we can input like 15 to 31 for pretty much everything.
yeah, I
and we'll
got
be able
it.
to get like a pretty decently good Pokemon. Usually in Emerald and Ruby and Sapphire, we're much more
Now there's
limited
a
because those
chance
games have set
of it being
seeds until
shiny.
a little bit later on.
It's not guaranteed.
The only other thing you have
Especially
to do
since
is
it's Gen
since
1
we're going
and
for
we
a
can't
shiny
really
to know our
check.
secret ID, so we
Well,
have to
actually,
change
we
this to
can check
star
because of the
slash square.
stats.
That just tells you that
But
you're
it's
looking
only
for both
level
types of
15.
shinies. The
So I'd
type of
have to
shiny
get it
really
up
just changes
to,
what the
like,
sparkles
level
look
50
like
to
in
actually
Sword and
check.
Shield only.
For real.
Doesn't really do anything else.
Yeah, Topi?
Trainer ID and Secret ID, you have
Yeah?
to pick one from your list that you've created, pretty much at random, right? We were aiming for 1150. There's 1149 here, right? Let's just go for that one. Let's assume we've hit one advance early. So we'll paste our trainer ID and our secret ID into there. And again, this is an assumption. We don't know our trainer ID and secret ID. The goal is to pick one.
I don't think I've
and then
experienced that before.
If there's our shiny, great. If there is no shiny, we move on to the
I
next
don't
trainer ID and
think
secret
I've
ID and we try
experienced that
again
before.
until we find the one that we want. And so we're going to hit submit here and we're going to wait. This is a little bit of a slow searcher, so, if it's lagging, if it tells you, oh, the browser is slowing down, don't worry about it. Just wait a little bit and eventually you'll get all the results you want. You can see it's telling me right now. Just wait a little bit. And so I'll pause until we have results. Okay, so we have a bunch of results here, but how do we parse them and what does any of this even mean, right? There's
Well,
like a
if it
million.
has happened, I haven't
So basically what
noticed
you
it
do
happening.
is if it looks, if it's got a nature that you like and if it's got a stat line that you like, you click open in 10 lines.
But mostly when I'm
Then you click
flustered,
the
my
painting
face
seed
feels
drop-down
hot,
button. Don't
and
change anything else.
sometimes my ears.
And you're going to drop it down to the version of the game that you're playing. I'm playing Fire Red English, but there's also the Fire Red European versions. There is the Japanese 1.0 and 1.1. Those have different seeds, and the way that you can tell which version you're playing in
Oh no, step up your
is
game.
if it has
I don't know
the
if I could
the
handle
word
you stepping up
presents
your
under
game,
the Game Freak
Topi.
logo here, then it's on 1.1.
I've had to
So we'll see that in a
mute.
second.
I've had to mute
That's
because
all
of your game
that really matters.
multiple times.
And then after that, there's Leaf Green European, Leaf Green Japanese. And so I'm playing on Fire Red English. I'm going to hit submit. And in here, we're going to get a bunch of results. And there's really only two things to parse here. If you see this time, this is hours, minutes, seconds. This is 9
this
minutes.
video
It's
was good
quite a
for
long
like
wait. I don't wanna wait that
resources
long.
and figuring
That
out.
is not good.
and having
Nothing else
a
here
guide
is
for how to
bad,
use
but
the
I don't want to go.
resources.
So we'll go to the next one. Right, select my game.
Maybe.
And none of these look good time-wise, but
Maybe it
also
would
they
make
have
them
the
right?
blackout buttons. Blackout R. These are something that are a little bit more complicated that truthfully, I'm not going to explain in this video. We can cover how to use them at a later time. I just think it's not worth talking about. So if you see the seed that you like, but it has a blackout button
yes,
as its
this
target,
video is
don't go
very
for it.
informative.
And you just have
even
to
if
go
I'm
through
only
and parse
half
until
paying
you
attention
find
to it.
something that's a
Because
low
it's
enough
a lot
time
of
for you to go. I would not
technobabble
go
and
more than like
math.
3 minutes personally, maybe 4 minutes. I'm just going to keep
If
going
anything,
through
I
them
probably
until I
should
find
pay
something that I
attention
like.
since this is similar to my training.
It's a little bit of a
thing
tedious search,
that I'm going to be doing.
but it is what it is. This
yeah, I
is
heard back from
really
the
built more for
workforce services to help me out with that, and I was
people who
accepted
are
into
going to
the
be searching
program,
for like
and it
perfect
starts on
Pokemon,
the
perfect shiny
21st of
Pokemon, etc.
July.
But I think we could use it this way effectively.
I'm waiting to hear back
See,
for
we
more
found a good one, but
information
it's a
about
blackout
that.
button,
Oh, another
right?
Dragonair.
It's this seed, but it's blackout L.
Another Dragonair.
Thank you. So I'm gonna pause until I find something that looks good. All right, and so I found one. So this seed right here, it's 16-bit seed.
Nice.
Is that there's a couple of them that are blackout buttons, but you gotta keep looking. And we find this
Yeah,
one
I
with held
think
button
that might
none
do it, yeah.
at 1 minute. It's
I
beautiful.
keep missing the Dragonair.
So, what we have to do is get into the game
I just
and
gotta keep
change
throwing
our
balls.
settings. So remember, we're going to be saved in front of the starter that we want. But these
At
settings
the
are
very
something
least,
that
it
you
seems
have
like
to change,
missing the
and they're in-game
Pokemon. Oh
settings.
no, I lied.
The options menu
I was gonna say
settings that you have actually affect
that
what
missing the
initial seed of
Pokemon
the game is going to be. So we have battle
Doesn't seem to
style, whatever,
affect
that
it
doesn't
running
matter. What
away.
does matter is sound.
But no,
and
it does.
button
It does
mode.
affect it running
Sound
away.
is stereo, and button mode is LR. You can see there's 3 different types. I'm going to be LR,
But yeah, thank you,
and
Dopey. Yeah,
stereo
yeah.
is also what I'm going to be on.
Since
button
I'm going to
A
be
and
getting
held
into a
button
training
none, what do
program
those
for
describe as
coding and Python,
They
I probably
describe
should learn
which buttons you hold
how to
and when.
handle
So
all the
the way
technical
initial
stuff
seeding in Fire and Leaf Green works
and how to
is,
understand it.
uh,
Otherwise, I'm
pretty
going to
simple,
have a
but
terrible,
it's
terrible
different.
time.
And it's basically, it's determined at the title screen. So it's determined when you press a
I need to
button at the
learn.
title screen. And you can actually press a couple of different buttons here. You could press A, start, or L if you're on L equals A.
Yes, the
So
training.
button equal A, that is the button you are hitting and holding at the title screen. So button equals A, I hit and I hold the A button. I'm holding it right now. I'm not going to let go of it until I get to this screen. Held equal none. Those are either going to be blackout buttons, which like I said, we're ignoring, or you can see in the seed below it, which is a 1 minute and 13 second seed.
Oh, my 3DS. My
is
3DS is in the red
Startup
for Soul
A.
Silver. Oh no.
So what is startup? That's a button that you hold from the moment that you
I think once
boot
I'm done
Fire
with
Red
this game
all
here,
the way
I'll
past the
transfer
title
Soul
screen
Silver
until you
over
hit,
to this 3DS.
the save file select. So if I was holding start the whole time, I would hold it here. And there you go. Okay, now that you understand this, we're actually
Yes,
ready
if you
to
hold
go
my hands, that would
and actually do our
definitely
first attempt.
help
So
with my nervousness,
what we do
I think.
is we click open in calibration on what our target seed is. And most of this information is filled out for you, right? The initial seed's populated, the settings are populated correctly, the trainer ID and secret ID are even populated. But what we have to change is seed plus and minus. We're going to change that to plus and minus 50. That's how many potential seeds, early or late, you can be. In addition to that is plus and minus on the advance range. Default 0 to 500. We're aiming for advance 1313. So I'm going to copy that.
Well, that might be a bit too
gonna
much.
paste that
I
in
do
both
need
of
to pay attention to the training, Toby.
We don't want the 0 there.
If you
So
distract
I'm going to
me
make
too
this
much,
about
then,
200
you know.
early on and late. So 1131, and then we'll do 151. And this is our range. Now we're actually ready, and we're going to turn off the GBA or the DS. If you're doing this on a DS, follow exactly what I'm doing. If you're doing this on a GBA, you either have to flick on the power switch at the same time as you start Eon Timer, or you're going to have to use the Game Boy Player's feature where you change a game pack. I'll put on screen what that looks
wait.
like in
The
terms of
3DS
how you
is
start a
flashing.
timer.
I gotta,
I'm not going to do that in this
gotta
live
take care of
recording.
this.
Okay, so now we got to set up Eon Timer.
Gotta get
So Eon
out
Timer, we're
of
gonna
the
hit
Safari
plus
Zone
twice
and
here.
save my game.
The first one, we're going to leave unit as milliseconds. The
Dratini,
second
not
one,
shiny.
target. What we're going to do is put in the target milliseconds from here. So you can see
I gotta hurry and
seed
save the
time
game.
is 38633. So we're going to copy that. And we're going to paste that right there. And that one's all done. The second little box here, we're going to change that to advances. And we're aiming for advance 1313. We're going to copy that. And we're going to put that right in the target button. And we're ready to go. So now I'm going to hit start on Eon Timer at the same time as that I hit A to boot the game.
Okay, maybe some stress relief before training would
Now,
be
like I
good.
said, if you were doing this
If
on a
that's
Game
the
Boy player,
case.
you would hit A on the change game pack now screen.
A little bit of
And if you're
stress
doing this
relief.
on a regular Game Boy
Alright,
Advance,
game
you would
saved.
power
I
on the
can
GBA
turn
the
this
moment
off.
that you hit start on Eon Timer.
Oh, Dratini!
Now, we don't want to touch any
Oh my god,
buttons here,
two
we're just
Dratini!
waiting.
Look
We're
at
just
him!
going to wait all the way until the title screen happens.
There's two of them!
And then again, our button is A, right?
Two
we're
of
not
them.
holding a button, but we're doing button press
Crazy.
A at the title screen. So when Eon Timer finishes counting down, we're going to hit A to actually launch the game and get to the save file select menu. You hold the button the entire time until you hit save file select.
Two the babies!
So I'm still holding, I hit
This
A
be a
and
good
I'm still
spot?
holding, I'm still holding. All right, I let
think
go. Now I'm backing out and we have to get to Squirtle ASAP. So I mash B and then I mash A
It's like
through
no
here.
shiny over
and you
here.
actually hit yes
but
here.
potential shiny over
You're
here.
going to wait
so
until
gotta
it says
catch
the Pokemon is quite energetic. This is actually hitting A here is when you receive the Squirtle for some reason. You'd think it'd be on yes or no. So Eon Timer finished counting down again, and then you hit A, and you receive the Squirtle. I'm not going to give it a nickname. You can if you want, but nicknaming it every time sounds tedious, so I'd rather wait until I get to Lavender Town.
Very
So,
true.
we're going to now view the Squirtle stats. It's not shiny, but that's to be expected. We're going to have to do some calibration. Okay, so in here we go. What we're
Hey,
going to do
Dratini
first is
caught
look at
the
Squirtle to
pencil
make sure
shiny.
it's modest, so I'm going to put it here. That's not modest at all. That one's modest. And then I'm going to select Squirtle from this drop-down. And now we're going to type the stats into the IV calculator. The way this works is you type the level
Yeah, I need to
and then
organize
each
these
subsequent
blocks.
stat.
So the super rod is at the top.
And then we're gonna hit calculate IVs. Now, here's the bad news. When I hit submit here, it's not gonna take as long as the other one, but we're gonna get a lot. Oh my gosh, that's so many results, right? It's okay. So what we're gonna do is level up the Squirtle by battling. We're probably gonna need to get 2 or 3 levels here. And first, we're gonna battle blue. You really should win this. In fact, I should have gotten the potion. I might go back and get it after this battle, because you could easily lose this match. So I'm just gonna try and beat this rival battle, and hopefully I can win, and then we will level up. You'll always get level 6 after you defeat the rival. Oh, that's a bad look. We'll see. Okay, so we leveled up, so we're going to put the next level in the IV calculator. So that's level 6, 21, 9, 14, 13, 13, 12. And I'll hit calculate IVs. It'll change some of the values in here, and I'll hit submit again. And we only have 1 result. That's great news.
No, maybe I should just keep.
Sometimes it can take a little bit longer to calculate what you get.
It's easy enough, and my hand doesn't
we'll
really
probably
get
see
in
it
the
happen,
way of the
but
screen.
you just have to gain more levels. So what we're gonna do is
but I
take
do want to
the
see the
milliseconds
sparkles
here.
of shiny, so
Right, we're gonna copy that,
putting Soul Silver in here would make more sense.
and we're gonna put it into the hit section on the first one, and then we're gonna click update. We could update this one as well. However, because we're so early on our seed, it means it's going to throw
Yeah, the
off
shiny
the
sparkles are
calibration
fun.
for
We
this.
need to
So
prioritize
generally,
the fun.
you do not want to
Prioritize the
calibrate
fun
this
here.
timer, your advances timer, unless you
And also the shiny
are
sparkles lets
hitting
me
the
know that
seed
there's a
you're aiming
shiny.
for, and we did not. And so at this point,
Even
we
though
just try
I
again,
missed
and
them
hopefully we
the
land on our
first time
targets.
around with the shiny hat.
It's literally the exact same process as previous.
With the shiny top hat.
And we
Yeah,
just
I
wait
named
for the
him
intro
top
time.
hat. Oh, there's an ad.
Now, our seed range, we should be able to shrink it if we did everything right. So what I'm going to do is go over to this and change it to plus minus 20. We should be in a much smaller range now. And the narrower the range, the better it is and the easier it is to search.
Come on, let me get an encounter so I
So
can
let's check
end
the
this
stats here.
Safari game.
Input all of our stats. It's 20, 11, 11, 12, 11, 9. Calculate and submit. And again, there's probably going to be more
There we
than
go.
Ooh,
Welcome
this
back
is
from
bad
the
news.
ads. Oh,
Let me
Dratini!
double check that I did everything
Dratini
right.
in Gen
Okay, so I
1!
put the stats wrong.
Oh, I only have left. I
See,
only
so
have 3 balls left.
It
though.
throws an error if you
Only
type
have
something
3
wrong.
balls,
You can
let's
see I
see.
typed 120 for the IV calculator, and it's set HP to 32.
Yay, I got
and
it! Yippee!
-1. So that's just its way of telling me that I made a grave error in my typing. Let's try again and hit submit. And now we should get some results. We only have 2 results, which is good news.
Oh, I need to get another
would,
encounter so I can use up the rest of these balls.
Hedge a bet that we hit this one, and I'll tell you why. So if we look at our target,
bet?
it's 38633.
Wait, what are you doing?
This is 1 seed late. This is about 17 milliseconds, 16 milliseconds is 1 seed late. So this is 1 seed late,
That's such a
and
marginal
we're on advance
number.
1208 when we were aiming for advance 1313. Advance 1500 is really, really late compared to where we were previously. And so I actually feel so confident in this that I would, rather than leveling up this Pokemon again, I would just go with it. But I'm going to show you guys how to level it up even. I'll level it up again just to show you guys that A, it's correct. And B, let's see if it narrows it down enough, because hopefully I could show you how to do 2 levels. So I'll beat this Bulbasaur really quick and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so I leveled up Squirtle again. I accidentally ended the battle dialogue, so we're not in that section, but that's fine. So I'll put the new stats in. I'll hit calculate IVs. It gives us a new range.
So, wait, what is he calculating? I haven't been paying attention.
And I'll hit
so I'm confused.
submit. And let's see. And it did narrow it down 1, so we know exactly where we're at, which is great news. So we were 1 seed late. You know what? If you're 1 seed late, you could put it in. I'm going to put it in. You don't have to adjust when you're 1 off. Being 1 off is well within human error. And so I wouldn't do much. But in addition to that, when you're 1 off like this, you're close enough to where you can change your target advance, and we'll start getting a lot closer.
Oh, the
So I'm
box
gonna
is
put
full. I can't.
the
Oh.
12 08 in
I
here,
can't
and I'm gonna
catch the
put that in, and
Dratini.
we're gonna
The box
also
is
adjust
full.
Squirtle. And so I'll hit update, and
I have to
it'll
run.
change both of them at the exact same time.
I have to run.
All right, so let's
I'm
try
being
again.
forced to run
So hopefully
away.
this time we land on our target seed and our target Squirtle.
That's sad.
This is tough because it is it's a double frame perfect trick. You have to have perfect timing 2 times consecutively. So it's not easy if you're struggling on landing on your target Pokemon.
Alright, gonna
don't
save
worry
the
about it.
game here so I can get Soul Silver over here.
So let's see.
I think I'll do some like box organization
It's
after
Quirky.
stream.
I don't think that's the right. I don't even remember the nature.
Since none of the Pokemon that I
we're in
caught
for a bashful
before today
Anyway.
counts. I'll keep the Kangaskhan. The
And
Kangaskhan
we just do
was
the
a
IVs
bit to
again.
catch.
It's
but
pretty much the same
other than
process
that,
until
all the Nidoran I caught,
you either get it or
everything
you
that
don't.
was a grass encounter from
At
the
this
Safari
point,
Zone.
you should understand exactly what you're doing. Again, a lot of guys,
Yeah,
so we'll go
that's-
and adjust.
Unfortunate. But it's fine, it's fine.
What we're gonna look for is, ideally, we're hitting our seed, right? So we're aiming for seed 375A. It looks like there is one where we hit it. So after the level up, we have 3 results, so we still have to level up again. Now, I'm almost 100% sure this is the one that I hit, because this is only 2
not
seeds
reading
early.
the card.
Again, you could tell by how many milliseconds you're
Come
off,
on.
right? We're aiming for 38633. We could have landed on 38407, not likely. We
gotta
could have
turn it
landed
off
on
and turn it on
38700.
You
It's
blame the
potential,
economy?
but not likely. And then this one is
Blame the economy.
00. It's only 2 seeds early. I guess the 700 is also like, it's like a few seeds late. But we need to level up again. That's the end of the story here. And how are we going to do that? Well, your best bet is fighting
Wait,
wild
why is
Pokemon.
he leveling up?
But every time you fight a Pokemon,
I haven't been paying
you gain what are
attention, so
called
I have
EVs.
no idea why he's
EVs increase the stats of your Pokemon based on
Yeah, at least I
which
did, at least I did.
opposing Pokemon that you fight. So for
Even
example,
if they
I
aren't
just KO'd a
shiny,
Bulbasaur.
at least I
A
did
Bulbasaur gives me
manage
1
to catch
special
them.
attack EV. Okay? EVs don't actually
The
do any
Dragonair
stat
can
changes
possibly be
until
shiny,
you have
though,
like 4 of them.
because I got it from
It
a
changes at
fishing
various
encounter.
levels, but the safe bet is 4.
So there's
right?
that.
And so what we're gonna do is make sure that we never gain more than 4 EVs
Just need
by
to
fighting
release
different
all the other ones.
So Rattata gives
Since I know
speed,
there's
Spearow gives speed,
a
Pidgey gives
zero
speed.
chance of
That
them
means we
being
should
shiny.
not fight more than 3 of those combined. Mankey over here gives attack, and so we should really only fight 3 Mankey. And I think you could find Nidorans in here. I don't remember what they give, but you know, you get the gist. You can look up what EVs a Pokemon gives on like Cerebi.
Why is he doing the EVs?
And we also want to minimize the amount of fights that we're doing. So this is a level 5 Spearow. This is great because this will give a lot of experience points. We really only want to fight level 5 or level 4 Pokemon if we can help it. Sometimes your Pokemon, like the starter you get, really stinks and it actually just like can't win battles. Like I don't even know if I'll be able to beat this Spearow based on...
I have no idea what this guy is doing. I have no idea why he's doing any of this. Like, that's obviously not a shiny Squirtle. Why are you EV training? Is it going to be shiny by the end of this? There's another shiny that he tries it again and then he does other... Okay, so he gets a shiny by the end of it, but how? How? Why? I don't understand. I do not understand. I think I'm gonna have to actually like, watch this video again on by myself later because I have no idea why any of this is happening. Like, calibrating. What is calibrating? I have no idea. Anyway, next video by Tech Rules. Let's see if this one is even more confusing. Let's see if it's even more confusing.
Okay, so, disclaimer. We're gonna be RNG manipulating a shiny Pokemon today, and that's cool, but you should know that this video is going to be more about how the process is done and why it works. And while I do explain the process, this isn't a guide. So, if you click this video expecting a guide, sorry. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Tech Rules Bits. I know it's not been very long since the last Tech Rules Bits, but this is actually a follow-up to the last video I did, the one about RNG. In that one I asked if you wanted to see a live stream of me putting this information to use to catch some shiny Pokemon. And there was some feedback, but in the end I decided not to do that. As I was kind of putting the pieces together on how I wanted to do the stream, I realized there's a lot of things that need to be explained for it, especially for someone who, say, doesn't know how shiny Pokemon are decided from a technical standpoint, which I would imagine is most people. So instead, we're gonna do a quick
Well, we
video
did just
on
learn
it.
about it.
Well, hopefully quick. In this way, I can
Kinda.
not only explain
It's
what
got,
I'm doing
like,
better,
DVs and
but I
IVs
can
and
take it a
whatnot.
step further and actually
And
give you
also
some
the
in-depth
RNG.
information
You see
about
the
it. There's a
RNG.
lot of interesting things about this process, and I really want to, have the chance to talk about it. A lot of the things we're going to talk about in this video is going to use information from the RNG video, by the way. So if you find yourself confused at any point, I recommend watching that one to get a better idea of what we're doing. Or don't, if you don't want to. It's probably fine.
Oh,
Feels
it's
like I
fine.
don't even know what I'm talking about half the time anyway. Either way, the goal of this video
Okay,
is
this
very
guy is
simple.
at least marginally
To catch
more
a shiny
entertaining
Pokemon
than the
without
other guy.
modifying the game or the system running the game in any way. The only things we're allowed to use are the information we can salvage from the data the game gives us, meaning things it stores in removable storage, and pure RNG manipulation. In the game I've decided to use for that is Pokemon Ultra Moon, a 7th generation Pokemon game on real
later
3DS
gen.
hardware. Unfortunately, playing it on a real 3DS means it's going to look like this. Yeah, what you're looking at is a combination of Wi-Fi video streaming and the relatively low internal resolution of the 3DS, but I
dear.
still feel it's important to use a 3DS instead of just an emulator for the sake of legitimacy. You know, the sake of confirming that this works on any old 3DS lying around. I mean, you could argue that since I'm using custom firmware to capture the 3DS screen, I'm already compromising the legitimacy of it, but shut up. And also, the screen will look better when we actually get into a fight. It's just zoomed out areas like these that look this bad. Even if we were using a capture card, it wouldn't look much different. Okay, I won't lie, it would look a little better. Not much, but things would look a little more, I don't know, human. And yeah, I know, Pokemon Sword and Shield is a thing. Why don't you use Pokemon Sword and Shield? That's what I'm playing right now. Show me how to do it for that. I don't want to. For 4 or, well, let's say 5 specific reasons. 1, Sword and Shield doesn't have the national dex, whereas with Sun and Moon, there's a way to manipulate a shiny out of basically any Pokemon. 2, while you can safely say that this game has reached its end of life, so to speak, Sword and Shield are still getting updates, and any methods I show you could easily be patched out, since they're still updating the game. 3, and this one's kind of a big one, Nintendo absolutely terrifies me when it comes to making videos on their more recent games. They've made it explicitly clear they don't particularly like creators like me and want their newest games as far away from us as possible. That's why
they
I'm
don't like
refusing to even
people-
use any Sword and Shield footage. I'm not convinced that they don't
Like,
have some
even
sort
though
of
they're not
auto-matching
hacking
system to take down
technically,
Switch
they-
hacking
I guess they
videos.
don't like
It's
it
the
when
same
people
reason I didn't talk
manipulate the
about Fire
odds.
Emblem Three Houses when that game came out. I didn't want
Even
to
though
give
the
them a good
Masuda
reason
method
to
is
take down a
literally
video,
named after
and
one
then
of the
a month after it's
producers,
just wasted. 4, I'm
developers
not
of
even
the
certain
game.
there's a legit way to manipulate
'Cause
RNG
they're
in
the one
Sword and
that
Shield just
came
yet.
up with
Well,
that shiny
it
hunting
depends on
method.
what you define as legit. There's a way to manipulate it, but
Pretty
I think
sure.
you still need
Pretty
data
sure
that you
that's
can
where the name
only
comes
get
from.
from either using custom firmware or getting help from someone else who has custom firmware. 5, I don't remember what 5 was. And 5 seems like an excessive amount of points anyway, so let's just move on. As far as which shiny
Okay,
Pokemon
this
we're
guy
gonna
is
go
more
for, I
entertaining.
figured since we're doing this in the Alola region, I should probably pick a Pokemon within a Alolan variant, you know, get something that's exclusive to this series. And, Dugtrio. No question, Dugtrio. I don't even have to think about it. Alolan Dugtrio is downright majestic. So that's what we're going with. So our goal for this video is to catch a shiny Dugtrio. Let me go over what stars need to align,
not
so to
shiny.
speak,
Not shiny
in order to make a
Victini.
shiny Pokemon appear. But first, I'd like to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. I know I've already talked about
it's an
Skillshare a
ad.
few times on my
It's
channel,
an
but in my
advertisement,
defense,
not on
it's
my
an
stream, so I'm
excellent
gonna
resource.
skip it.
You know, it's hard sometimes to try and pick up new things because if you're going to be sheer explanation and exposition, by the way, so feel free to skip to the timestamp if you're not into that. I would still really recommend listening
worries,
if you're
I'm
not
gonna
familiar with the
listen,
stuff
'cause
though,
I wanna
because
pay
otherwise
attention.
you're going to be pretty confused about what we're doing. And even if you think you know how this stuff works, I recommend you watch anyway because I don't know, please. Shiny Pokemon are simply extremely rare variants of already existing Pokemon, usually with a different color and like a little extra animation when they're called into battle. The chances of any given Pokemon being shiny used to be around 1 in 8,000, but I think from X and Y onward, they changed that to around 1 in 4,000.
Yeah,
That definitely makes our job easier, but that's still approximately a
not
0.025% chance of finding one. But obviously, we don't have time for that. Let's just exploit the game's mechanics and force it to give us a shiny. So, what do we need to know to do that? Well, let's start with the easiest method, which would be through eggs. The thing that you need to know about eggs and Pokemon in general is that whether or not they'll be shiny depends entirely on the trainer hatching them. In other words, a Pokemon encounter that would yield a shiny for one person would not yield a shiny for another one because it's based off of some hidden values exclusive to the trainer. This is where the whole secret ID thing comes in. Eggs are special though because instead of the shininess of the Pokemon being decided during the encounter, an egg will only run the shiny check when it's hatched. That means if you were to trade the egg to a trainer with the correct hidden values and let them hatch it for you, that Pokemon will be shiny. And that brings us to the most important question.
So you
what are
can't
these
just
hidden values, and how can we use
figure
them
out
to
what eggs are shiny
essentially
and
solve
give a shiny
Pokemon
to your
shininess?
friend.
It's
You have to actually hatch the
trickier than
shiny.
you may think. This part we're going to talk about in particular is why I wanted a lot of people not to skip the explanation, even if they think they already understand how it works. a lot of people
not
seem
shiny,
to
that's
think that there's a
orange.
value stored in the game called a trainer shiny value, okay? And Pokemon have a hidden value called the Pokemon shiny value, and if those two numbers are identical, then the Pokemon is shiny. That would have made things much easier in the past if that was the case, but unfortunately it's not. If you knew that,
No, they decided
awesome,
to make it
but
overly
if you thought it was the
complicated,
shiny value
like
thing,
everything
you're
else
not
in the
really
game.
at fault for thinking that either, because that's how we choose to express the algorithm that decides whether or not a Pokemon is shiny. Actually, hang on, that was a very confusing sentence. Here, let me explain it this way. Every Pokemon you're going to encounter is going to have a unique Pokemon ID, which is the final missing piece for this algorithm. Let me just read it off to you, I actually have it written down here. What the game will do is take your trainer ID, your real trainer ID I should mention, which is confusingly different from the trainer ID you see in the game, and will do an exclusive OR operation with it and the trainer's secret ID, which the game goes out of its way not to tell you. Exclusive OR, simply put, means you're going to compare the numbers in binary form and look for differences. Different means 1, same means 0. Then you're going to take the result of that operation and do another exclusive OR with the highest 16 bits of the Pokemon ID, meaning we're going to convert that to binary and use the first half. Then we take that number and do an exclusive
Again, more
OR with the remaining
complicated.
16 bits, and
It's
if the number
complicated.
is lower than 16, then that Pokemon
Coding.
is shiny. If
Maybe
it's not,
learning this could
well,
help, like,
it's not.
could help me
And that's
train
the
for the
algorithm.
training
Simple, right?
program. Like, training for
No,
training.
No, it's not. I mean, if you're a programmer who has experience with this stuff, I guess, yeah, it's simple. But the average Pokemon player is not going to be interested in learning how to do this. In fact, looking at the algorithm, I just realized there's quite a bit to unpack here, and I'm not sure where to start. I guess I'll start by saying the biggest issue with this algorithm is that it makes it really hard to know what the Pokemon ID would have to be to make it shiny. Because, you know, even if you were to know your trainer ID and secret ID, you would still have to essentially plug in different Pokemon IDs until you find the one that would lead to a shiny. And that goes for the other way around too. Even if you know the ID of your egg, how in the world are you going to find a trainer to hatch it for you that has the exact IDs you need? On that note, what would even be the exact IDs you need? How would you figure that out? You get the idea. It's really, really hard to work with an algorithm like this, which is why there needed to be a simpler way to express it, one that didn't require you to combine all your information with the Pokemon's information to even know what will be shiny and what won't. And that's where this trainer's shiny value comes in. It's just a made-up algorithm. The game doesn't use it, but we use it to help us understand what will be shiny and what won't. Here's how it works. We do the first half
So,
of the algorithm,
not something Game
meaning
Freak
we
made,
take our
something the
trainer
fans
ID and our
made.
secret ID, do the exclusive OR operation, but instead of doing the rest of the algorithm, we just do a bit shift right by 4. That literally just means we're going to take the last 4 bits off our number, convert that back to decimal, and there you go, your trainer shiny value. What do you do with this number? You compare it to the Pokemon shiny value, which you get by doing the exact same thing with the Pokemon half of the algorithm. Just take the result and remove the last 4 bits. If the trainer shiny value and the Pokemon shiny value match, then that Pokemon will be shiny. Simple as that. And even if you don't necessarily understand that, that's fine. A program can easily tell you what your shiny value is if you just punch your numbers into it.
Yeah.
There's like 1,000 that'll do that too. It's not hard to find one. That goes for both the trainer and Pokemon shiny values. With that in mind, let's go back to our egg hatching method. If we can just find out what the ID of the Pokemon is, then we do the algorithm and boom, we have its shiny value. Now all you need to do is find someone with a matching trainer shiny value and ask them to hatch the Pokemon for you. Which is a thing that people actually do. There are huge communities of people who post the shiny values of their eggs, and if a trainer sees an egg on the list that matches their shiny value, they'll hatch the Pokemon for them. The only thing that you have to do is post your egg's shiny value and wait. But we're not doing that method. Yeah, it's easy, but it involves waiting and just hoping that someone with the right values comes your way. And I don't know if I've already made this clear or not, I want my shiny Dugtrio now. So instead, we're gonna use some good old-fashioned RNG manipulation. So with that absolute mountain of knowledge in our possession, we can finally begin. This is a new save file, well, not new, it's based off of a completed save file I got off of PokemonProject.org. But the trainer data has been completely re-rolled, so I have no idea what any of my hidden values are. That means our first step will be to find our trainer shiny value, which I'll just shorten to TSV from here on because I'm tired of saying it. If you remember, we need our real trainer ID and our secret ID to do so, and we already established that the game doesn't want to give us one of these, and the other is weird. Thankfully, you know who does know those IDs? Our Pokemon. See, they have to retain those values in their data so they can tell who their owner is. So
real name generator? Ah, yes.
And
real
I
names,
realize now that it
as
sounds
opposed
like
to
I'm
all the
proposing
fake
some sort of
names out
Pokemon
there.
interrogation torture scenario, and I regret phrasing it that way. But we can't live in the past, so moving on. Luckily for me, I own a digital copy of the game, so extracting these values is as simple as doing a specific process in the game and copying the resulting saves to my PC. That process is emptying out my first 2 boxes, catching 6 Pokemon, putting them in the first box, saving,
I don't
resetting
think
the game,
I have
saving
those, that
again,
stuff.
backing up that file to the PC,
I would need to get some
moving the 6
spare
Pokemon from box
parts
1 to
to
box
do
2,
that.
making sure
Dopey?
to retain the original order,
Yeah.
by the way, saving yet again, and backing up the new save file to the PC as well. From here, all I have to do is plug these 2 saves into a program called KeySave, and it'll brute force a key which will allow me to view the hidden data of the Pokemon I put in the box. Now, if I had a retail version instead, it would have been fine, but instead of just using my
Why
save
are you
file, I would have
asking
had
that,
to use a
Dopey?
battle video against another trainer. A little more inconvenient, but still completely doable. And with that out of the way, it's time to catch that shiny Dugtrio. You can hear me rubbing my hands together maniacally in that sentence. Obviously, the first step will be to go someplace a Dugtrio can actually appear, so we're gonna head to the vast Pony Canyon. And on our way there, I
You
guess
need
I'll
to
go
see
ahead
my
and explain
answer?
the process. So, in the RNG video, I demonstrated how to use user input to manipulate Gen 1's RNG and give us the exact same seeds every time. Essentially, we could do extremely specific actions at extremely specific times so that we always get the perfect RNG
I don't
seed
know
that
how
does
to
exactly what we
answer.
want. Well, I guess more accurately, we can predict
I don't know
exactly
how.
what it will do. Unfortunately, Sun and Moon base pretty much all of their RNG off an initial seed that they pull when the game starts up, completely independent from player input.
Oh.
In other words, manipulating that initial seed is going to be practically
You know the
impossible.
answer?
And besides that, since the game's RNG is based on a timer that did I
Perhaps
mention
you
that?
do.
No, I
Perhaps
didn't.
you do.
Okay, so this game has a timer, and that timer gets changed by literally anything going on in the game. NPCs messes with it. Animations messes with it. It's a pain, but we'll get to that. Essentially, though,
Oh.
we need a way to determine the RNG without starting the timer.
I am my
Remember
own
the clock
master?
hands from the last video? Yep, that's what we're gonna use. If you didn't watch that video, long story short is we can use these clock hands to determine the initial RNG seed, which is fantastic, because going from the main menu to file select only advances the timer by 1 frame. If these clock hands didn't exist, I have no idea how we would do this process.
I mean,
but aside from that 1 frame, the
certainly
timer
tried
won't
to.
advance at all until the file
I
is
certainly
actually
tried
loaded.
to.
So we can do this as many times as we want, so we know exactly what position the timer is. We'll just have to remember, you know, every time we back out and go back in, that's 1 frame advancement. But the process is so much easier than it sounds, I promise. We just observe the clock hands a bunch of times and put the results into something called the 3DS
Always be
RNG
myself?
tool, which is
I
easily
will
the most
try.
impressive program I've ever seen as
I will
far as
try.
RNG manipulation is concerned. Not only is it able to accurately predict this game's RNG to a T, but it also considers the various factors that could cause the game's timer to fluctuate. There was a lot of love and care put into this thing, and it kind of blows me away, honestly. Okay, this is the area that Dugtrio appears in. I need to stand in a very specific way to cause the least amount of NPC interference as possible. Thankfully, there's a post on a forum called PokeRNG that shows exactly what the best spots are.
I don't
Granted,
know
it's
why
for the
you
original
asked
Sun and
the
Moon,
question.
so there are some differences here and there,
I
but
don't know
otherwise,
why. It sort
it'll
of just
work.
kind of
Okay,
came out of
let's
nowhere.
boot up 3DS RNG tool and put in our shiny value. Now, I do have a shiny charm, so I'm going to check this box, but just know it's not required. I'm just
Oh.
using it to speed up this process a bit.
mid blue.
Okay, so let's save,
Teeny blue, not pink.
reset, and now it's clock hand time. I am terrible at this, so I'm just going to pull out my phone and record the screen. Also, I'm aware that I'm already capturing the screen for the video, but I don't trust that capture not to lose frames from time to time. And I kind of need to make 0 mistakes with this. If I do make a mistake, I have to reset and start the entire process over again. Let's just get 9 clock hands. That seems to be the max we'll need. Okay, now that I have the recording, we're going to do start position, and I'm going to click the picture that corresponds to the first frame of every clock hand I recorded. So that's a 15, that's a 2,
That's a lot of math going on right there.
and there's our seed. Now, if we look in our main window, we can see that our initial seed has already been inserted by the tool, which is nice. So now all we need to do is put in where we are and which Pokemon we're trying to catch. And, of course, we want it
Math jump
shiny,
scare.
so we're going to
Math.
check the shiny only box.
Not even
Once
math,
we do
just a
this, the
clock
tool
jump
is going to
scare.
calculate which
With
Pokemon
math
I'll
being
get for
used.
every single frame I can start an encounter on and show me which frame I need to find a Dugtrio with the same PSV as my TSV. Or, in other words, a Dugtrio whose shiny values match my shiny values. Oh, there's actually a frame where I can get one 9 seconds after we start. That one's
Ooh.
gonna rush me a little bit, but I don't want to wait 9 minutes, which is what the next frame's gonna be. So let's go with this one. Now we switch over to our time calculator, which is, again, conveniently autofilled by the tool, and we'll get the final piece of information we need. In this case, it looks like we'll be setting our Eon timer for 540 frames. What's Eon timer? Well, it's this convenient tool over here that can simulate the game's timer to a pretty accurate degree. We just need to put our time into this field and start the timer at the same time we load the save file. So, here we go. Okay, so wait, 9 seconds doesn't give me enough time to explain what I'm doing at all. hang on. Okay, it's fine. I missed that frame entirely. Okay, sorry, I didn't really think that one through. What I was trying to do is open my bag on the exact frame I was targeting and use the honey to force the Pokemon encounter. But you saw that I messed it up, so
Oh,
I
dear.
get to reset the game again and do the hands thing all over again.
How's my chair
Alright, give me
feel?
a sec. Okay, our new initial
It's-
seed. Let's search
It's
again.
alright.
Whoa, that's a lot of shiny Dugtrios. Also, you might have noticed some of these frames are marked. Essentially, the timer is so sensitive that a character can blink and the timer will freeze momentarily, meaning it's going to be really hard to hit any frames shortly after a character blinks. But that also means that frames where a character blinks are really easy to hit, so that's why those are starred. We want to go after those if they're not out of our way, but otherwise we should just aim for safe frames. This one's 11 minutes away, but it's also next to other frames that'll give us the Pokemon we want, so I'll go with that. 7:13, okay. 7:13. And now we wait. By the way, we want to wait with the menu. What? Beep? Why beep? Hang on. Why did I put in 713 frames? That's very clearly nowhere near 11 minutes. Okay, sorry. I got tunnel vision while explaining. I'm an idiot. Clock time. I just want you all to know that it takes like
Okay, this
5
guy's
minutes to do
entertaining.
these clock hands.
This guy's
every single
entertaining
time.
with his,
I know that doesn't seem like a
RNG
lot, but
struggles.
that's 5 minutes per mistake. It adds up. Okay, this one. Okay, now that the timer is actually set up properly, I can point out that I need to open up the menu pretty soon after starting up the game and keep it like that until it's time to hit the target frame. Doing so stops your character from doing its idle animation, which, you guessed it,
7:13.
messes with the timer. Once we open this bag though, the timer will stop, so we can take our time actually finding and selecting the honey once we hit our target frame. But as you can see, this process involves a lot of waiting, so I guess I'll get back to you when it's time to hit the frame. Hey, welcome back. Target frame's coming up, so I just have to hope I'm able to hit this exact frame. A few frames off and it won't work. Thankfully, this timer's about to start assisting me by doing some rhythmic beeping, which actually really helps me out. So, fingers crossed. Hey, that felt kinda close. Let's see what we get.
Let's see if he did it.
Okay,
Oh.
you are not a shiny Dugtrio. In fact, you're not a Dugtrio at all. That means we have to try again. But before that, I still want to catch this card bank and check something. See, while we didn't hit the frame exactly, I still want to examine this Pokemon and find out what frame we did land on. That way we can adjust accordingly. Okay, so let's plug these stats in as search parameters and see if we can locate this Pokemon in our RNG list. Okay, found it. These are the 2 frames I potentially could have
Barbie.
landed on. So I was either 4 frames early or 10 frames early. I'm hoping it's the 4 frame one. That would mean I'm at least hitting within the margin of error, which has to do with timer fluctuations and just human error itself. But if I was 10 entire frames off, then some adjustment is definitely going to need to be done. I guess we won't find out until we try again. You know the drill by now, so I'll just start skipping to the relevant parts. Okay, this one's rough. Those question marks mean a blink frame is going to happen shortly before them, meaning it may be impossible to hit them. Guess I'll go for the only safe one. That one was good. That one was good. That has to be within the 4 frames. Golbat?
No.
Okay.
Nope,
Let's see
it
which
wasn't.
frame this thing belongs to. Whoa, okay, that's way off. So, I seem to be consistently hitting 10 frames or so earlier than what I'm intending to.
Oh
That
dear.
can be for a lot of reasons, like load times or NPC interference, but at the very least, it's consistent. The error margin I'm allowing myself is 4 frames off in each direction, so if I just aim 10 frames ahead of my actual target frame, I should start hitting within my error margin, so let's do that. Okay, here's a nice set of frames to use. I'm gonna go with the latest one, since I seem to be hitting early pretty consistently. Remember, I need to factor in my calibration, so instead of aiming for frame
beeping is oddly
17502,
satisfying?
we're instead gonna aim for
It's kind of annoying to me, but it
17512.
doesn't last for too long,
12.
so...
People call that 12.
It's not
Eon
too
Timer
bad.
actually has a feature that's supposed to make these adjustments for you, but I can't figure out how it works. It seems whatever number I put in just gives the same irrelevant result. It's fine, I'll just set my target frame to the 110 frames ahead. It's literally just as easy. Nice! Okay, I got a good feeling about this one. Show me the shiny...
That's a shiny Golbat.
Excuse me? Okay, that's a shiny Golbat. Okay, hang on, the battle can wait. I need to find exactly where in my target frame a shiny Golbat exists. 2 frames after my target frame was a shiny Golbat. Maybe this is a side effect of the shiny charm? I don't know. Like, maybe it just makes a cluster of frames shiny frames, and that's how the charm increases your chances? Whatever, I guess it's not important. The important part is that I hit 2 frames late. I'm keeping this one though. I only brought 1 container of honey, so I'll have to go back to the Pokemon Center to get some more, but I am not resetting a shiny Golbat. So, give me a sec. Okay, I'm back in my spot with another container of honey. Let's save, and keep going. Since we were only 2 frames off, it looks like we're hitting exactly in the range we need to. It should hopefully only take a few more attempts, and we'll see
Yeah, that
our shiny
definitely
Doug
is a
Trio.
point towards RNG hunting being legitimate, because you do have to put an effort for it. Yeah, I'm
Yes!
keeping
Okay,
this.
come on.
Not shiny Dratini.
Please. Yes! Okay,
There
we got
it
it. Okay, hi,
is.
welcome back. Shiny Doug Trio. Let's catch it. Select the quick ball. And with that, our shiny Dugtrio is... What? No!
Oh,
Okay, no,
no.
this is fine. Not sure why I'm panicking. It's actually fine. Let's just throw another one.
Yeah, this isn't the
Okay,
Safari Zone
are
where
we
we could
cool
run
now?
away, bro.
Ah! Does the
You
quick
just
ball
gotta
not work
catch
if you
it.
throw another? Of course it doesn't. Why would it work like that? Oh! Great ball then. Yeah, go on. Break out of that. Stop! No, it was a taunt. I didn't mean it. Okay, you know what? No risks. No risks. I did not let RNG come into play this far. I'm not gonna let it come into play here. I'd like to see you break out of that. Please don't, actually. I didn't mean that. I only have one Master Ball. Okay. Well, that was a bit more dramatic than it needed to be, but Shiny
That makes the
Dugtrio
top of your
has
head
been
tingle?
caught. Let's take it back to the Pokemon Center, and I'll wrap up the video. So, I'm looking at my timer, and it looks like the entire process took around 2.5 hours, which,
Yay,
for
he got
something
it.
as unlikely as finding a shiny variant of the exact Pokemon you want, is pretty good. On the subject of the shinies, I did want to keep the shiny Dugtrio, but the shiny Golbat, I mean, I like how it looks, but I think it'd be more fun if I gave it away. What do you all think? Do you want the shiny Golbat? Its nature is gentle, which, not amazing for a Golbat, but if you just want a shiny, you can have it. Tell you what. Sword and Shield is going to add Golbat in one of their DLC updates, I'm pretty sure. If you own Pokemon Sword or Pokemon
Yeah, this is from a
Shield,
while
then
ago.
I
How long ago
encourage
was
you
this
to
video?
join in the giveaway that
4
I
years ago, yeah. That
hopefully
Golbat is
remembered
long
to
gone.
make before the video
That
goes
Golbat
live
is long
in the
gone.
description below. I'll connect it with Twitter and DM you if you win. And when that update releases, the shiny Golbat is yours. As for the rest of you, I hope this was an interesting watch in some way, and I hope you keep an eye out for more tech rules.
Alright. I think I'm good to stream for another 20 minutes. Gotta find something to do in that time now. Gotta find something to watch. Let me see. Not sure if there is anything to watch or do. I mean, there are some other shiny videos to watch, but it's not really RNG related. Or related to the Gen 1 thing. Maybe I can find Gen 1 shiny video. Let's see what I can find from looking that up. I mean, maybe. Ooh, interactable Pokemon in Gen 1, which means that it's possible to shiny hunt for the legendary birds. Ooh. I'm only seeing this because of like a thumbnail at this point. I'm looking this up, but at least I think that's how it works. I have no idea. Everything's like 30 minutes long or not even long enough. Ooh. Oh wait, hell yeah. Hell yeah, I'm right. This video. Yeah, this video's just long enough. Oh, this is from Shiny Collector again. This should be good. No worries, Dopey,
What is
no
up, Collector
worries.
Crew? Shiny Collector here. These 3 legendary birds were initially planned to be part of a 50,000 sub special when I was projected to hit that milestone back in summer 2020. That didn't happen, and I lost motivation for this set for a while until recently when I picked them back up. If you're new to Gen 1 shinies, I recommend checking out the guide linked in the description to
Yeah,
get
we
an
watched that video.
understanding before continuing this video. These hunts had a pretty decent pace, getting about 130 resets an hour while double hunting. And now without further ado, here are my Gen 1 shiny birds.
Yeah, the thing with hunting the birds is that you have to catch them before you can even check the shininess. Or hunting anything. But I guess that's the fun of it. I guess that's the fun of it. Dratini? Not shiny.
Wait a minute. 115, 100, 140. Wait, is it 140 or 145? I think it's 140. Yeah, 115, 100, 140. 100. Yo, that's a shiny Articuno.
Hey!
Right? 150. 100. 115. Wait. Okay. 150 HP. Right. Attack 100. Defense
I guess
115,
hunting the birds is
speed
easy
100,
because they're level
special
50.
140. Yeah, no, that's a
based
shiny
on what I
Articuno.
see there.
Huh,
So you don't need
neat.
to do any extra math. Just need to get the number.
Yeah. Huh, cool. It's pretty late here. Press equals, so 3,600 Articuno. Just gonna save again. I'm pretty sure that's shiny. If not, then rest in peace because, actually I've got a blue version on that game too, so if it's not, I could play through that, in order to continue double hunting. Hopefully it is though. Let's see if I have an escape rope. Please tell me I have an escape rope.
You do not,
Oh,
oh
I don't
dear.
have an escape rope. Please tell me it's easy to escape. Meanwhile, I'm going to boot up Pokemon Crystal version. This is like the
Ooh,
most calm
lag.
reaction I've had to a shiny, if this is shiny. I think it might be because of the stats. Yeah, very calm reaction. I think way too calm,
Time
but
to see.
also once I see it shiny, I might get more excited. I'm also very tired. If that's oh, it's Easter. Yeah, so I'm tired. I was gonna say, like, I've done a lot today. I have read like 3 or 4 hours of reading, and this is the second film I'm watching for this. That is definitely shiny Articuno, without a doubt. That is shiny.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, that is so right. There's no way it's not shiny. Oh my gosh, that's sick. Cool. I guess this is a really light reaction. Hopefully the rest are better. That's my authentic reaction though, so it is what it is. I'm stoked, but I'm also just very tired. All right, let me check. Yeah, it's got the stars in the corner. That is a shiny
Hey.
Articuno
Real.
from Generation
No
1.
real.
That is so sick.
I don't
Oh,
have
that's
the
awesome.
shiny birds. I think I can hunt for them in
I'm
Sword and
stoked.
Shield.
I'm really stoked, actually. I know
But
I'm like not
trying
reacting like
to
explosively like,
hunt
like I
them in
normally
Gen
do.
1 also
but
sounds
I
very
really am stoked,
interesting.
though. I'm excited.
Because then they'll have the
And
Game
yeah,
Boy
also,
mark.
every of my previous Generation 1 shinies, every one of them, I've transferred to Generation 7, but I think for all of these, I'm going to send them to Generation 2 instead, just for something a little different. So let's start out into, I'll say, 2 battles. Oh, I probably had a Repel going. I had a Repel going because the last thing I did in this crystal was hunting for the Generation 2 Growlithe, for that Growlithe quest, where I hunt it full odds in every gen. If you didn't know what that is, it's pretty cool. You should check it out. It's in the playlist in my YouTube. I'll eventually, here, you know what? Move faster. The Repel will eventually run out. Man, this is a very slow show off. Wait, also, I should show it off on the single screen. I'm gonna do that. Get rid of that. There we go. So, Growlithe and Shiny Articuno,
Shiny
from Generation 1.
Articuno.
Dude, that is so freaking sick. Oh my gosh. Cool. So we are now done with 1 out of the
Ooh,
5.
I don't know if I've actually got the
That is so
legendary
sick.
birds
Awesome.
from my Pokemon Yellow.
Regular Pidgey and Shiny Articuno.
Because it was a Nuzlocke file.
All right, I'll see you guys in the next one when we're back.
So it's
with
very
a,
possible
Shiny
that I
Zapdos.
haven't got those yet. I'd have to actually double check. Articuno was pretty cool. You don't say.
Yo, wait. Dude, I just started hunting for the day. Please tell me 102 matches. 102 matches. 102, 100, 115, 140. Are you kidding me? I've been hunting for 2.5 minutes today.
Wait,
And
what?
I think I just got shiny Zapdos. You gotta be kidding me. I'm pretty sure. I just started watching a film for class. Yeah, I've been hunting for all of 2 minutes. Literally, the recording is 2.5 minutes in. Press equals. I started at 1174, so I've done 6 resets, which is, you know, per game that'd be, yeah, 3 per game for the day. That's, you gotta be kidding me.
Damn, that's lucky.
We'll just fly to Viridian.
So how long has he been hunting?
So I can go to the Poke Center and trade.
A little over 1,000 resets?
Dang, that's crazy. Yeah, anyways, it's April 29th, so it's not even a month after Articuno.
Oh, Dratini?
I've barely
shiny.
hunted this since getting Articuno. Yeah, I've barely put any progress in this, to be completely honest. This is like more of just a side thing that I hunt while doing homework for the most part. While I work on other hunts that are on stream.
Yeah,
all the
probably
time.
because it's a low effort
But
hunt.
yeah,
You're just like
I'm pretty sure this
catching
is
with a
gonna be
master
shiny.
ball and then
We'll
soft
see
resetting.
on the game to the right if it is. Oh my freaking gosh. And that looks like it would be shiny to me. It's got very orange feet. I'm pretty sure that's a shiny Zapdos. But yeah, let me check the summary.
Oh, we got a dragon there. It's not shiny, but look, the first one of the day.
Yeah, that's a shiny freaking Zapdos. Dude, you've got to be kidding me.
Yay.
Okay, wait, actually, I know that I just moved to desktop audio, but since it's on the game to the right now, and the direct capture, I honestly don't even know how to direct capture sound of Katsu. It's a little weird. Okay. Yeah, so I've got both now. All that's left for the birds, at least, is just Moltres.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll set that up before finishing watching this movie. I'll get a good start on that for now. That's so crazy. That was really quick. 1,180. I barely started for the day. That is literally the 6th Zapdos I've seen of the day. Here, let me move it up to the front and just, you know, gotta see both. The, Articuno and the Zapdos. That is so cool. That's so quick. I have not yet even had a Generation 1 hunt go to half odds. I have had insanely good luck.
Is he jinxing
Oh
himself
my
there?
gosh, this is so cool. We have a regular Hoppip and shiny Zapdos. Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, that looks really good. And with the next one, Moltres is the most noticeable of these birds, so I'll definitely notice that one as soon as it gets traded. But the other two, I mean,
I'm
I
like
could still
on the lookout for
with good certainty
sparkles
tell, but
since
just
I
have to check the
nearly
summary
missed
to be safe. But
catching
this
the
is so
shiny
cool.
Paris because I wasn't paying
Regular
attention to
Caterpie.
the sparkles.
Shiny Zapdos.
Well, if you go back to that actual full
Welcome,
VOD
welcome.
and look at like the 10 minutes time span where I found and caught the shiny. Oh, stand up and stretch? Okay, I'll do a stand up and stretch.
Yo, shiny Moltres!
Yo,
Shiny
nice!
Moltres! No way, shiny Moltres!
Ooh. Alright, standing up!
Yo, shiny Moltres! Dude, I saw the 105, 105, 140 and reacted and I was like, wait, attack though?
above my
And that is
head?
the highest possible attack it can have. Dude, that's only 52 for the day. I've been hunting for 20 minutes. Hold on, let me double check.
With one
I mean, I
arm.
just saved, so hopefully it's right, but if not, whatever. 120 attack, that checks out. 105, 105, 140. Dude, that is a shiny freaking Moltres.
Time
No
to
way!
stretch my legs. One
Dude,
side.
I have yet. That is 5. No, wait. That is 6 Generation 1 hunts I've completed now. Not a single one of them has been over odds. Oh my goodness.
Now we'll
All
do
right.
the other leg here.
This will hopefully be a shiny Moltres.
Cool.
It should be a shiny Moltres. I'll trade the Magnemite because I'm pretty
Alright.
sure I got the Pidgey to fly.
From bending down, I slowly pull myself back up.
moment of truth. There's
Fine,
always
let's
so much
stretch
suspense
my
with Gen
back.
1 shinies.
Let's stay around, looking one way. Just stick around looking the other way.
Let's freaking
Rolling my
go, dude!
shoulders.
Shiny
Oh.
Moltres from Gen 1.
Oh.
Let's
Oh,
freaking
good
go.
stretch, good
Trio
stretch.
completed.
Oh,
After
that's
like
a good
what? A
stretch.
total of 10k, I think, if even? That's crazy.
And no shinies?
That's so crazy.
Yeah, no shinies. Have to double check right now.
Absolute W.
Thank you, Topi, for the
Oh, that's right,
stretching.
Dude, shiny Moltres. Let's freaking go. That is so cool. Oh, let's freaking go, dude. I think this is only the... I had this on hold for a very long time. And I'm pretty sure this is only the second day I've been hunting it again since I took it off hold. I mean, granted, I've done like over 1,000, but... collective. But yeah, dude, not
Damn,
bad.
that's like...
Super fast.
That's some
I
crazy
didn't move it
luck.
out front, did I? We're just gonna throw out a Pidgey, huh? Ooh, Growlithe, my boy. Let's go. I mean, my girl. Yeah, I'll just swap it right here. Before running. But normal Growlithe and shiny Gen 1... Shiny Gen 1 Moltres.
Ooh, that looks really good in Gen 2.
I guess Gen 2 now, but still. Oh, that is so freaking cool. Alright, I'm gonna swap it out front. We'll throw it off one more time, and that'll be that.
Ooh, stretching very important.
Dude,
Yes,
that
it
looks
is.
so cool.
Yes, it is, in more ways than one.
Alright, and we've got a normal Pidgey and shiny Gen 1 Moltres. So nice. Alright, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, keep it calm, cool, and
Oh,
collected.
not shiny. And that's the end of that video. Alright. Okay, gonna end these encounters. And then go ahead and find someone to raid into. Maybe do a few more encounters as I look. Right, here we go. Oh, this 3DS is on red, so gotta put it to the side so it doesn't die. Man, the battery life for some of these is crazy. See over here. Oh, another Dratini. Not shiny, but that's cool. Gotta run. Now time to find someone also doing Safari Week. Alright, let's see who's live doing Safari Week. Mm. Ooh, Tales of Taylor. That's one of Absol's friends. I wonder if they will allow for raiding. Oh, they are fully decked out with like Safari gear. Let's see. Okay, they do allow raiding. Thank God. Alrighty. No, it didn't make me uncomfortable. It's just that it sort of felt like it came out of nowhere. Alright, gonna put the raid message into chat. And let's see. Streaming for the rest of this week, or at least for tomorrow. I think I'll try doing another Safari Week stream in the morning. Because apparently I have luck in the morning. I have good luck. Thank you, Topi. So I think I'll try that, but also mainly because Tallulah is going to be off work at an early time tomorrow. So we'll be able to spend a good amount of time playing Honkai that day. Alright, one more encounter. And then we will be switching over into raiding mode. Come on. Be quick with it. Be quick with it. So yeah, thank you so much for being here and watching me and everything. Try to keep them on topic next time. I appreciate it. The raid, mata ne!